the West Indian front room. Now, two things. One, the front room comes from the colonial elite in the Caribbean. We know this, yes? Yes. It comes from a kind of bourgeois middle-class idea of an English parlour. It is the Victorian parlour. That's what it is. Secondly, I call the exhibition the West Indian front room deliberately because we're talking about the West Indians who came here post Second World War. So we're referring to the Windrush generation. That's another subject we can begin to talk about, but we'll allude to that. The third thing to mention is that my parents' generation, when they arrived here living in one room. With a paraffin heater, I'm glad to see that's very similar to my dad's out there. And so it was about struggle. Yeah? Immigrants, migrants arrive with nothing. And they arrive with ambitions and aspirations to do something better. So loaded within this room are aspirations. Aspirations. And there was one image I just thought that was really important that we might share. The green shoes. Yes. Yes. The green shield stamps on some level is a symbol of our values, of saving, deferred gratification, saving for tomorrow, doing something, creating something out of nothing. That's very important to remember as a moral code. Yes, because my parents came with nothing and they had nothing, but they had these aspirations. Think of those people who came on the ship, the Windrush. They just had their grips, yes, and they sung their best, like they were going to meet the Queen. But the green shield stamps, and we had to lick thousands of these, you know, put them in the book and take them to the green shield shop, and then we'll get something. But it's also about the idea of saving. And I want us to just think of that value of saving, because without this idea of saving, we wouldn't have any of these things in the front room. These things weren't easily acquired. They were worked hard for. And this is important because the front room is really a woman's room. I must say that first. It is a woman's room because black women are not often represented as kind of respectable. But in the home, this is where a black woman could say, I am respectable, this is mine, these are fruits of my labor. It was certainly the fruits of my mother's labor, where she could show up who she wanted to be and buy in the best. So also there's quality here. I saw the wallpaper on here and I put my hands, and it's velvet cloth. Very nice, high quality. There are loads of things I can talk to you about, but and I am going to have to move around with the mic. I don't know if I can disconnect it. Yeah. But I want you to try to tell me some of the things, because you know what these things are in here. For instance, this. What's this? What kind of cabinet? China cabinet. What's purpose is the purpose of the China cabinet? To display things we never use. That's right. So, exactly. So the front room is the room in the home that the family shows to the wide world who they are, who they want to be. And so these things would never be really be used, and that's purely its function. We have the ornaments. Classic ornaments. We have artificial flowers, and they live forever because they're artificial. I'll come back to the TV. We have the pictures. Which one? The Lord's Supper. Now, the point about the Lord's Supper is that you don't have to be religious to have the Lord's Supper. It's about telling about respectability, because this is the other thing in the front room. It's about respectability. Okay, there's it's quite spiritual on some kind of level with the idea of respectability. Now, respectability is a double-edged sword. You know, on some level it's about showing a sense of kind of modesty and decorum and so forth. But on the other side, the front room is another place of reputation. And what's this? The Blue Spot Radiogram. Now, this object here is very important for West Indians because we were barred from clubs and pubs, and we would have to entertain ourselves at home with the radiogram, with music that was imported. 7-inch records on the turntable. Name us some of the music, apart from Jim Reeves. Ska, Blue Beat, Trojan Records, Mashed Potato, do the Mashed Potato. Who else? Chubby Checker. Now, isn't it interesting that apart from Jim Reeves, you've mentioned secular music. You've mentioned secular music. And so therefore, the front room and the radiogram was not purely about religion, although it's represented here. It was about parties. Yeah. This is where some of the house parties began. I would dare say the blues parties. So this is not necessarily respectable, is it? This is about reputation. This is about the thing. And remember, today is bank holiday, and I'm quite privileged to be here because today I would be at Carnival, jumping up. So here there's another side of the secular in terms of music, in terms of something that comes out of our culture, which is to dance and to have music. That's part of our tradition. And the radiogram is part of that. Now, there's some other things I wanted to kind of point out, which are very important. The blow glass fish. Any of you who have these, when I was doing the West Indian front room, through my research, I found that these are made in a particular place called Murano in Italy, and they are collectible. So please don't throw them away. They are worth a lot of money now. And this is really important in thinking about the significance of the things that we have in our homes, because often we are represented as if we live on the street and we have no homes to go to. But one of the reasons for me doing this is to say that actually we have homes, we have values, okay? And in some sense, we are just as kind of conservative on some level as other communities. So the blow glass fish is classic. I'm going to come round, and another kind of contradictory element. This is the bar, of course, and it's a bar for drinking. I can see the Snowball, Ray and Nephew. There's no Baby Sham and Cherry B in there, but we're familiar with this. What is this? The plastic pineapple ice bucket. Again, if you have one of these called Brick Vic, it's collectible, worth a lot of money on eBay. I'm saying this because to value our archive, to value the things that we have in our own collections, to value our photographs, because if we don't, someone else will appropriate it and commodify it. We have the settee. Now, it should be plastic, of course, covered. Yes, and I remember if you sit on the plastic, it would be sticking to your skin. But these are, they're not cushions. That's not a cushion. This is a cushion. No, that's not crochet. This is a chair back. It's a chair back. Chair back. Why do you need these things on the chairs? You're here. That's right. Because it comes from a Victorian practice called antimacassars. And macassar is an oil, okay, that Victorian men would use in their hair, and it is stop the oil staying in the sofa. So again, we take these things from another kind of era, from another culture, from the Victorian colonial era, and we have kind of recreated it ourselves. And it's a three-piece suite. It's glorious and fantastic. Now, someone said crochet. Where is the crochet? Here. Who made crochet amongst you? Did anyone make crochet? Does anyone? Put your hands up if you make crochet. And how did you learn about your crochet? Who taught you about your mother? Okay. Now, crochet is really interesting. Often made by some men. The function of crochet is to display, it's not on its own, so you'd probably have a bars on there. The crochet is to accentuate something. Now, crochet originally comes from Europe. It was brought to the Caribbean by the missionaries and taught to young women, often to go into domestic labor, because that was the only job available for black women. But what Caribbean women have done was dramatic, because they have turned something that was usually flat and cream and white into color and sculptural shapes and amazing ducks and swans you know, and it's incredible. And there's a sense of artistry that these women have brought that we need to remember and celebrate. Really important. I have all of my mom's crochet. It's very valuable because you can't buy them. They're given to you or they're acquired, and you'd make your set, you know. And a lot of women, not only here, but I discovered doing the front room in South Africa, supplement their income through crochet and knitting. So I'm talking about these skills that women have across the diaspora, which is really kind of important. Now we have this would be the Santa table, that's right. The coffee table. This is a quite good one, but this is a bit more authentic, this one. And we have on here, dominoes. One of the reasons I'm asking you all of these questions also is that part of the things in this room is part of our culture to remember these things, such as the dominoes, as our practices, as our games that we have, that is really kind of significant. Now, when I did the West Indian Front Room exhibition, it was more successful than my plays. And the funny thing about it is that half of the audiences were white. And they could all connect with this room. So in some level, we went beyond the West Indian, the Black British, the Black Caribbean, the British Caribbean experience. We went to something human, which has excited me and which is why I've been able to go around the world with the idea of the front room. But what it also does is to remind us that there are things that we do in the front room which are very common to many people. Now, one of the things about the front room, I've been told that people would have more books they won't have so much ornament. What I'm talking about is class. What I'm suggesting here is also, in a sense, that from a middle class background, they're more interested in having books, and books of maybe the Encyclopedia Britannica, than ornaments.